She is. I don't. I mean, I think that you're just trying to find things to be unhappy about because you've got to defend your man after he instigated a riot at the Capitol and tried to overturn the election. You got to find things to attack the other person on.
Talk about living in the past, my friend.
She was the district attorney.
Is over.
Tim Miller of The Bulwark was a guest on Tomi Lahren's show. Tomi Lahren is Fearless. Tomi Lahren is a hardcore MAGA Trump supporter, YouTuber, and podcaster and pundit. And Tomi Lahren and Tim Miller got into various topics regarding Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, the upcoming election, forgetting about the past. Things were pretty interesting. Let's take a look.
Listen, there were some technical issues. Elon Musk says that this wasn't because of, their infrastructure. More so it was some kind of a cyber threat or a cyber attack, which they can't do anything about.
I'm sure.
Oh, you don't think that that's possible?
I'm sure. Oh, yeah. All the rest of Twitter worked except for the space. I'm sure it was a cyber attack. It was the same screw up that happened with Ron DeSantis. Maybe he just shouldn't have fired all his engineers. Maybe it was as simple as that. But, who cares? I don't know. I mean, the substance of it wasn't that much better either. It's like, great. 1 billion people, listened to Donald Trump talk about how he thought Kamala looked hot on the cover of Time. I don't think that that's like really a winning message. And, I think that just speaks to kind of his obsession right now. He's a man that's down there. He's aggrieved. He's jealous of all the attention she's getting. He's lashing out at her looks, saying he doesn't know what race she is, attacking her, saying she's not really black or she tried to turn black. I just don't think this appeals to anybody except like a small group of MAGA weirdos who really kind of are obsessed with this infighting culture war nonsense. What's his healthcare plan? Is he planning on cutting spending or increasing spending like he did last time? Is he going to increase the debt or cut the debt? Like, does he have a climate plan? Does he not have a climate plan? You really think all of Donald Trump's positions?
Well, listen, first of all, he wants to get rid of an electric vehicle mandate, so he's got that policy position that's out there. He does believe in mass deportation, whether you like it or not. He's put it out there. What his foreign policy...
I don't really get that as a conservative thing. I do kind of wonder why you're so excited about that. I mean, to me, a small government conservative is like really wants a bunch of jackbooted thugs, like pulling people over based on the color of their skin and demanding papers and kicking them out of the country. Like that's what we're going to do. We're going to deport millions of people. That's conservative, small government conservative.
I'm going to tell you, Tim, what's going on here. So first of all, illegal immigration is not a race. It's an activity. So I don't care what your race is. I don't care if you're blonde with green eyes like I am. If you're in the country illegally, you probably need to get the hell out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Just when they do the ads about illegal immigration, you always see people blonde with green eyes on the TV.
They can only show
what they're going to deport. Donald's really planning on deporting people to Switzerland, Tommy. You're right. That's definitely
Well, they're
true.
not coming here from there. I mean, you can only deport the people that are here. But listen, to be fair, they're coming from all over the world. I mean, all the countries of the world are represented. Languages we've never even heard before are coming across our southern border. But I want to talk about the mass deportation thing, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on it because I have a lot of questions for you. But I will say this. For me, it's really simple math. You have 10 million plus illegals that have come in the last 3.5 years. So what do? You take the 10 million plus that have come in the last 3.5 years and you send them right back because they shouldn't have been here. And then now they got to go. And so that's what you're going to do.
That's definitely going to be a small government conservative. Nobody's rights are going to be infringed upon in that effort. They're definitely not going to sweep up anybody
if you're an illegal, you don't have,
supposed to be deported.
You're an illegal immigrant. You don't have a right to be in this country.
Okay, great.
So
that's really great. In this case, her and the White House worked with conservative Oklahoma Senator James Lankford on an immigration bill that was going to include cracking down on the border, trying to streamline the asylum system. So I think that she's come to the middle on this issue. I think she's come to the middle on a lot of issues. I think that she made a mistake running to the left in the primary in 2020, and you guys are going to try to hit her on that. But I think the reality is if you listen to her rhetoric and her policies now and a lot of those issues,
but she's not giving
come to
us
the middle, which I appreciate.
Policies now. I would be okay with it, and I'll be honest. I want to be a fair person. If
she had the bill with James Lankford.
Yeah, but that's not her bill.
She's advertising on that bill.
She can't just say, I wanted the bipartisan border bill.
And Tomi Lahren doesn't bring up the fact that Donald Trump pressured the Republicans to not agree to any bill because it would have benefited Joe Biden in his administration and Kamala Harris's administration. So if Republicans and MAGA like Tomi Lahren actually really cared about the border, they would be wanting a bill to go through to try to actually do something about the border instead of squashing any bills so that Donald Trump could get reelected.
She can't just say that's my position, because listen, she needs to articulate why she's changed her mind from the opinions that she had in 2019 and 2020.
Why?
Medicare for All, because she needs to articulate it. If she's not going to put out an updated version.
Tommy, she was the vice president. She said she'd work with James Lankford, who's a Republican conservative senator, on a bipartisan immigration bill. They already did it. It would have been passed if Donald Trump didn't scuttle it. So, what more details do you want? It's right there. You can go Google it. Go look at the Senate bill. You can see all the provisions. You might not like all of it, but it's a pretty conservative immigration reform bill. She said she's on board with it. She's running ads right now promoting her position on that bipartisan bill.
In George Floyd riots, she said people have every right to be out there. Don't expect it to stop. They shouldn't let up. She talked about reimagining policing, reimagining what ICE looks like. I mean, to say that she's anti-police, I'm not going off of that because I pulled it out of a coconut tree. I'm pulling it out of her own clips of her own voice saying it out loud proudly. So if she's changed her position and now she's suddenly pro-police and she doesn't think policing needs to be reimagined and she doesn't want to abolish ICE, then don't you think she needs to articulate that to us?
Yeah, and I think she is. I think that you're just trying to find things to be unhappy about because you've got to defend your man after, he instigated a riot at the Capitol and tried to overturn the election. You got to find things to attack the other person on.
Talk about living in the past, my friend.
She was the district attorney.
Is over.
She's pro-police. What's over?
Well, January 6th is long
It's
gone.
not really over because he's still lying about the 2020 election. He's still advancing the lie that led to the attack on the Capitol. So it's not over. Police there. You want to be like, oh, Kamala's anti-police. Really? Donald Trump instigated a riot at the Capitol where 100+ police were injured. He won't apologize for it. He's happy about it. He wants to pardon and get out of prison the people that attacked the cops at the Capitol. That guy's not pro-police, and he was asked about this recently in an interview, and he went back down. He said the thing that really upset him was the lefty protesters that painted the marble at the Capitol. And as a builder, he's really upset about the marble. He's not upset about the cop that lost his eye. Donald Trump hasn't called him. He hasn't called Brian Sicknick's family. Give me a break. I don't like this whole Kamala's anti-police. Donald Trump is anti-police.
Brian Sicknick did not die because of January 6th. So
really? Oh, it's just a coincidence? Or just a quinky dink that there was a riot at the Capitol and one of the officers there died?
Yeah, because he suffered a medical emergency, I believe a stroke, after that event.
Yeah. So you think a stroke would have happened if he was just sitting there minding his own business, doing
people
general
have
work of
strokes
the
all
day?
the time.
So a couple of things. Tomi Lahren says that Kamala Harris wants to reimagine the police. So does reimagining the police trying to maybe improve things that maybe might even make things better for the police themselves? That means you're anti-police? I don't really understand her argument there. And the officer that they talk about dying the day after or right after January 6th, she's saying it's just like Tomi Lahren is saying it's just like he just died of natural causes. Yes, people have strokes every day, but the officer was involved in this riot. And that's to me, one of the crazier arguments that MAGA Republicans like Tomi Lahren have made, that it's just like, oh, this guy just would have died anyway. Now, we can't prove that one way or another, but the fact that he was involved in this riot and attacked doesn't have anything to do with the fact that he died shortly thereafter. That doesn't really add up to me. And I think Tim Miller is right about this and Tomi Lahren is wrong.
People have strokes all the time.
All right, Tom. But you're really pro-police. I love how you're showing your pro-police cards by diminishing.
There are few people on planet Earth that are as pro-police as I am. And if you want to look at the record, I was very vocal on January 6th. And every day since January 6th, I have condemned it loudly. Go check out my Instagram.
You're for the person that wants to pardon all the people that committed
Donald Trump doesn't want to pardon the people that took part in anything violent. The people that were simply at the Capitol.
Has he said that?
The
Can you
people
show me
that were
that? I would love.
He has.
I would love to apologize and be wrong. Please show me where Donald Trump said he's not planning on pardoning the people that were violent and attacking police.
He's clarified. He's clarified that the people that were just at the Capitol that day, they didn't do anything, should not be thrown in the gulag. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess if we're not mystified by it, then we have to go back to, Medicare for all and abolish ICE. And
she's offering, you want her to be the things that you like the least.
That's just what she
and that's fine. It's okay. You have a right to try to do that. Just like the Democrats are going to talk about how J.D. Vance thought that Donald Trump was Hitler and a traitor and a douche and a bad Christian and all the other things that he said about Donald Trump. So that's fine. You can talk about that. But on all these issues on healthcare, they've talked about how they're trying to lower prescription drug costs. They've said that they're not planning on going back to Medicare for all. That's what
that was just in 2019. So
what's Donald Trump's healthcare plan? I mean, this is just silly that you're like, oh, we don't know what Kamala's healthcare plan is. What's Donald Trump's? He was president for 4 years. He promised a new Obamacare repeal and replace plan every week for 4 years.
Well, we need to get repeal and replace. I mean, listen.
Oh, really? We're still doing that?
No, we still do need to do that. But
okay, Tommy.
I'm glad that you find that funny.
Tell Mike Johnson about that. It's nice to hear. At least you have offered a.
Hey, listen. Tim Walz, do you?
So I'm going to stop here for just a second to talk about the Medicare for All. So right-wing pundits like Tomi Lahren and others on Fox News and on YouTube and everywhere else are going to talk about Medicare for All as if it's a bad thing when it's a majority of Americans are in favor of Medicare for All. This was something that, as she said, Kamala Harris was in favor of a few years ago. I doubt, unfortunately, that the Harris administration would actually try to do Medicare for All. But I hope that Republicans fight on this because it's going to be a losing battle for them. And these other things that they're attacking Tim Walz about, free school lunches, tuition-free college, all these things, paid family leave, all of these things are very popular. So if Tomi Lahren and Republicans and MAGA continue to try to attack Kamala Harris and Tim Walz on these issues that are very popular, that's not going to bode well for the Republicans.
You think that the whole stolen valor thing is going to be a problem?
As somebody who did not serve, I feel like very unsuited to criticizing him. I also am not. I don't like it when the progressives are out there and like J.D. Vance was just a public affairs guy. He didn't really serve. I don't like judging people that served. I respect it. I had Adam Kinzinger on the pod last week, who's also a National Guardsman, who was very defensive of Walz, who said, Walz, you can retire after 20 years. He did 24 years. So he did more than what was called for. He was there for 4 years after 9/11. So I kind of defer to Adam's judgment on this.
Yeah, Adam. I mean, Adam is... He's one disgruntled fella. I will say that.
So? He's pretty happy whenever he's on my podcast. He seems pretty joyous.
Him and Liz Cheney, they are disgruntled. But listen, that's fine. I'm not here to debate the merits of Kinzinger and Cheney. I know that it's so funny to me because the Democrat...
They sleep really good at night, Tommy. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of people that know that they have to defend a bad guy and Donald Trump that are actually disgruntled and feel kind of dark in their soul. And I think that Adam and Liz feel really good about their choices,
you
to be
think
honest.
So? Well, I mean, whatever you think, it's not up to me to decide what's in their heart or in their soul. So they can do and say whatever they please.
I think that they should just embrace the flag and embrace this country and what makes this country great.
So wait a second here. I'm confused. I love embracing the flag, but it's only been about 4 years, actually exactly 4 years, since your party told me that the flag was oppressive and that America was oppressive and racist. So I'm confused. Now y'all love the flag again?
You got to get off the internet, Tommy. It's your party. You find like the weirdest far leftists and you're like, this represents the whole Democratic Party. Joe Biden loves America and ice cream, and he had a lot of veterans at his convention. I think that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have given a very uplifting pro-America speech. They've never turned the flag upside down like a lot of Stop the Steelers did and like Sam Alito's wife did because they were upset about the fake election fraud. So I just think you're wrong. I think they love America how it is. They love that it's diverse. They love all our culture. They don't get really sad about Disney having a lesbian kiss or a Bud Light can. They love Bud Light. They love Disney. They love America. And I think that's what they should talk about at the convention next week, in addition to their policies and their vision for the future.
And this is another thing that right-wingers like Tomi Lahren love to do, is to act like one party, their party, the Republican Party or MAGA, is they're the real Americans and they love America and they're the real Christians and all this, and that anybody who's a Democrat hates America and is an atheist who is anti-Christian and all these kind of things. When you have millions and millions and millions of people in the Democratic Party, these are all people living in the United States and they hate America. I mean, it's a tired argument from people like Tomi Lahren. And I think Tim Miller shows that he's a lot more reasonable on these things than this wasn't a super heated debate or anything. But Tomi Lahren wants to point out these ridiculous things. And again, I think if Republicans try to paint Kamala Harris and Tim Walz as not being the real Americans, I mean, you look at Tim Walz, this guy who was a football coach, he was in the National Guard, he's a hunter. This is a very normal kind of all-American guy. So they try to paint Kamala Harris and Tim Walz as these extremists that Tomi Lahren and others are going to try to do. I don't think it's going to bode well. And Tim Miller here in this debate, I think, tried to point out the normalcy of the Democratic ticket while this Republicans are weird thing continues to stick. And it's kind of befuddled the Trump campaign and MAGA people like Tomi Lahren because they don't know how to fight back against it. And they're trying to push back against these popular policies like Medicare for All. And Trump seems to be getting further and further behind. But what do you think? Do you agree with the points that Tim Miller made here? This isn't the entire debate. You can watch it on Tomi Lahren's YouTube channel if you want to see the whole thing. But what do you think? Did Tim Miller come out ahead here? Do you agree with the points that he made? Or do you feel that Tomi Lahren got the best of him in this debate on her show? Make sure to leave me a comment about what you thought about this. Give me a like and subscribe. It helps me to continue to grow the channel. It's growing more and more all the time. And liking and subscribe allows me to create more content like this. If you want to see this, I'll see you in the next video.